911. What's the location of your emergency, Yeah, I'm worried about my wife and kids. When Jennifer Dulos disappeared in May 2019, her case shook the nation. A brilliant writer, loving mother, and devoted friend, Jennifer's sudden vanishing was anything but random. This is the story of a woman who tried to escape her nightmare and the man who wouldn't let her. Jennifer Farber Dulos was born into privilege. New York City, 1968. She came from money. Old money. Her father was a prominent banker. Her mother, a generous philanthropist. Her family was respected, refined, and rooted in success. And through her aunt by marriage, Jennifer was connected to fashion royalty, Liz Claiborne. Yes, that Liz Claiborne. Jennifer was brilliant. Educated at Brown University. A writer with a sharp mind and a big heart. She didn't just dream of the perfect life, she expected it. Not out of arrogance, but because she had the brains, the charm, and the background to make it real. In 1998, in one of her essays, she described her ideal woman. Poised, well-educated, accomplished, a thoroughbred. That's what Jennifer wanted to be. And for a while, it looked like she had become exactly that. Enter Fotis Dulos, born in Turkey, raised in Athens, ambitious, athletic. He came to the US to study at Brown, just like Jennifer. They met there, briefly. Nothing happened then. Their connection, a spark but never lit, until 2003. Years later, in Aspen, fate gave them a second chance. Fotis was recently separated. Jennifer was single. The spark reignited. This time, it caught fire. They married in 2004, just 1 month after Fotis finalized his divorce. Jennifer described him as a young man I'd always liked. Something precious, something special. They moved to Farmington, Connecticut, a picture-perfect estate. Soon, they had 5 beautiful children, a big family, active in school, sports, and all the trappings of suburban success. Fotis launched a luxury home building business funded in part by Jennifer's father. Jennifer stayed home, writing less, mothering more. It was the life she had imagined, or at least, it looked like it from the outside. Behind the manicured lawns and gleaming windows of the Dulos estate, the cracks had already begun to form. Jennifer wasn't writing anymore. Her unfinished novel sat in a drawer, untouched. Her world revolved around Fotis, his friends, his hobbies, his rules. One of those hobbies was water skiing. Jennifer hated it, but she went along. Because that's what you did when your marriage was slowly becoming a performance. Her social circle in Connecticut, non-existent. She was surrounded by Fotis's people, his needs, his demands. Jennifer began to disappear, not physically, but emotionally. Quietly, invisibly, she documented her thoughts on a blog. One entry read, "I wish I were a stronger person." That confrontation didn't both scare and appall me. She was afraid of him. Afraid of what might happen if she pushed back. Meanwhile, Fotis's behavior grew more controlling. He pushed their children into competitive sports, often against their will. He'd forced them into grueling training schedules. Jennifer wrote, "They are physically and emotionally exhausted and have begged me to do something about it." Then came something even darker. Fotis began isolating Jennifer, cutting her off from friends, from family, from support. He lashed out in public. He once punched a parking attendant over nothing. He pressured the kids to lie during custody hearings. He became aggressive, erratic, and then, he introduced a gun into the home, a 9mm Glock. Even though the couple had agreed no weapons around the children, Jennifer didn't learn about it from Fotis. She learned it from her kids. Her fear deepened. "I am afraid of what he might do to me, or to the children." So she made a plan. Quietly, carefully. In June 2017, under the cover of night, Jennifer loaded her children into the car and drove away. To New Canaan. To safety, or so she thought. The next morning, Fotis called 911. "I am worried about my wife and kids. They went to New York and I haven't been able to get in touch." But Jennifer wasn't missing. Not yet. She had just escaped. That very day, she filed for divorce. And in the filing, she made her fear plain. "I know this will enrage him. I know he will retaliate." Jennifer wasn't paranoid. She was perceptive. And she was right. Jennifer Dulos had spent years fading in her own life, swallowed by fear, exhausted by control, silenced. But one night in June 2017, she made a decision. She waited until Fotis was gone. The children were quiet. She gathered what she could: documents, clothes, courage. Then, she fled. 5 children, 1 mother, a car filled with tension and hope. She drove from Farmington to New Canaan, Connecticut. A new town, a new beginning, a safe place. She told no one, not even Fadis. The next morning, when Fadis realized they were gone, he didn't hesitate. He called 911. I am worried about my wife and kids. They went to New York. I can't reach them. But Jennifer wasn't lost. She was hiding, protecting, reclaiming control. Within 24 hours, she filed for divorce. And in that filing, she laid it bare. I am afraid of my husband. I am afraid for my safety and the safety of our children. She asked for full custody, and she backed up her fear with evidence. She revealed the affair. Michelle Troconis, Fadis's new girlfriend. She detailed the threats that Fadis had warned he'd kidnap the kids if she didn't cooperate. And still, Jennifer stayed composed. She tried to keep things civil, but Fadis, he fought back. During the custody battle, Fadis violated court orders. He brought Michelle around the children, despite strict rules against it. Worse, he instructed the kids to lie about it. Jennifer filed motion after motion, pleading with the court to protect her children. And finally, in March 2018, the judge agreed. Jennifer was granted emergency sole custody. Fadis was furious. He was losing access to his children, losing control, losing money. Jennifer's mother was suing him for over $1.7 million in unpaid loans. It was all slipping away. Jennifer was finally free. But freedom can make dangerous men even more dangerous. Friday, May 24, 2019. It began like any other day. Jennifer Dulos woke up early in her New Canaan home. She made breakfast, got the kids ready, dropped them off at school just after 8 a.m. Security cameras captured her returning home at 8:05 a.m. She had two medical appointments scheduled in New York later that morning. She would never make it to either. That was the last time Jennifer Dulos was ever seen alive. By late morning, her nanny, Lauren Almeida, arrived at the house. She let herself in with a key, but something felt off. Jennifer's purse was on the floor. The tea she'd made that morning was still full, and the car she said she'd drive, her Range Rover, was untouched in the garage. But Jennifer was gone. At first, Lauren tried not to panic. She texted Jennifer about a forgotten iPad. No response. She called. Nothing. Still, Jennifer could be stuck in traffic, right? But by late afternoon, reality started sinking in. Jennifer hadn't shown up for either appointment in New York. She didn't show up to meet her kids. She hadn't called anyone. Lauren called Jennifer's friends. They hadn't seen or heard from her. Something was wrong. Lauren finally called the police. That night, Jennifer's black Suburban was found abandoned behind Waveney Park in New Canaan. The driver's seat was empty. The keys were inside. The lights were still on. To the untrained eye, it looked like a quick exit, maybe an abduction. But detectives saw something more. Narrator firm, chilling. Back at Jennifer's house, police found blood spatter on the garage floor, the walls, the Range Rover, and in the kitchen, blood on the faucet. Tests confirmed what everyone feared. It was Jennifer's blood. Every drop, every smear, except for one. The blood on the kitchen faucet contained two DNA profiles, Jennifer's and Fadis Dulos's. There were also signs of a cleanup. Almost all the paper towels were gone. Jennifer's nanny hadn't noticed blood earlier, because someone had already tried to erase it. This wasn't a disappearance. This was something far worse. Jennifer Dulos was gone. And now, detectives were no longer searching for a missing person. They were chasing a killer. While Jennifer's friends and family prayed for a miracle, police started following the facts. And the facts painted a horrifying picture. When a wife goes missing, the husband is always the first suspect. But this case, Fadis Dulos didn't just look suspicious. He was suspicious. And the cameras, they didn't lie. On the evening of May 24th, the very day Jennifer disappeared, a pickup truck registered to Fadis's company was caught on surveillance cameras along Albany Avenue in Hartford. In the truck bed, multiple trash bags. The footage showed the truck pulling into side streets, alleyways, parking lots. Again and again, as a man stepped out and dumped one bag at a time into public trash cans. When the truck reappeared minutes later, the bags were fewer. Then fewer still. That man was Fadis Dulos. And in the passenger seat, Michelle Troconis, his girlfriend, his accomplice. They weren't just getting rid of trash. They were trying to erase a crime. Detectives tracked every trash stop. They recovered the bags. Inside, blood-stained towels and sponges, zip ties, Jennifer's clothing, plastic gloves, and cleaning products. Everything tested positive for Jennifer's blood. Some items contained a mixture of Jennifer's and Fotis's DNA. It wasn't just sloppy. It was damning. And then came the alibi script. During a search of Fotis's home, police found a handwritten timeline, drafted with Michelle. It detailed their supposed whereabouts on May 24th and 25th. A perfect little story, but it didn't mention the trash runs. It didn't mention the early morning disappearance, or the bike Fotis used to ride to Jennifer's house. The story, it was fake. A lie. A script. Michelle claimed it was written at the request of Fotis's lawyer. She stuck to the narrative at first, but with every police interview, she slipped. The more she talked, the more the truth unraveled. She said Fotis was home with her until 6:40 a.m. But his phone alarm went off at 4:20 a.m. and was shut off 1 minute later. By the time she woke up, Fotis was already gone. Her story had collapsed, and with it, so did their web of lies. By early June 2019, just 2 weeks after Jennifer vanished, Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis were arrested. Their charges: tampering with evidence, hindering prosecution, but not murder. Not yet. They were released on bond, watched, tracked, but free. Fotis returned to his custom-built mansion in Farmington. He jogged. He smiled for cameras. He proclaimed his innocence. "I had nothing to do with Jennifer's disappearance," he told reporters. But behind the scenes, detectives were building a case, bit by bit. DNA, timeline inconsistencies, digital records, the truck, the bike, the surveillance footage, the lies. By January 7, 2020, after 7 months of exhaustive investigation, Fotis Dulos was charged with murder, felony murder, and kidnapping. Michelle Troconis and Fotis's attorney and friend, Kent Mawini, were also arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. The evidence chilling. Police believe Fotis rode a bicycle from his employee's truck to Jennifer's house that morning, waited in her garage, ambushed her, and killed her. Then, he drove her body wrapped in plastic back to his truck, and began the cover-up. Jennifer's body was never found, but there was enough blood, enough evidence, to charge him. Fotis was released on $6 million bond, but he was under house arrest, his movements tracked by GPS. The trial was looming. His world was closing in. Then, on January 28, 2020, just minutes before a scheduled court appearance, Fotis Dulos didn't show up. Police rushed to his home. They found him in his garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning. A failed suicide attempt, but barely. He was rushed to the hospital. For 2 days, he lay comatose. And then, on January 30th, Fotis Dulos was pronounced dead. Before he died, he left behind a handwritten note. "I refuse to spend even an hour more in jail for something I had nothing to do with." He still claimed innocence, but to the world, his death was not an exoneration. It was an escape. The final act of a man who had run out of options, out of lies, out of time. Jennifer Dulos was declared legally dead in October 2023. Her body has never been found, but her voice, her story has never been louder. In the years since her disappearance, the justice system has continued to turn. Michelle Troconis, the woman who once helped Fotis throw away blood-soaked evidence, was found guilty in March 2024 on 6 felony charges: conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with evidence, hindering prosecution. She awaits sentencing. The third suspect, Kent Mawini, Fotis's friend and lawyer, pleaded not guilty. He awaits trial. He is accused of helping Fotis plan the murder, and possibly providing a grave site in an unused gun club his name was still tied to. A shallow pit, dug and covered, but empty, waiting for something, waiting for someone. Jennifer's 5 children were immediately placed in the custody of their grandmother, Gloria Farber, who continues to raise them in the safety Jennifer never stopped fighting for. They are thriving, protected, loved, but their mother is gone. Jennifer Dulos was more than a victim. She was a mother, a writer, a woman who saw the danger, and still did everything in her power to protect her children. Even in the face of fear, she left. She spoke. She warned the court. She was not silent. Her disappearance sparked national outrage. It led to legal reform. And it started a conversation about coercive control, domestic violence, and the devastating cost of silence. Jennifer's voice lives on, through her words, through her children, through justice. Jennifer Dulos' story is not just a mystery, it is a mirror to the quiet danger some people live with every day. A reminder that abuse doesn't always leave bruises, and that even when someone leaves, the threat doesn't always end. Jennifer did everything right. She spoke up. She sought protection. She trusted the system. And still, it wasn't enough, but her voice has sparked change. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, help is available. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or visit thehotline.org. You are not alone. For Jennifer, for her children, for the truth, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more true crime mysteries every week.